Well, new taxes announced in Trinidad and Tobago's budget as government seeks to diversify its revenue stream. That's our top story in Caribbean Newsline for today, Monday, October 2nd. From the CMC News Center in Bridgetown, I'm Nicole Best. Good evening. New taxes announced in the Trinidad and Tobago budget. Residents of Trinidad and Tobago will have to carry a heavier tax burden on the $50.5 billion TT budget unveiled on Monday. The taxes were announced by Finance Minister Com Imbert as the Twin Island Republic moves to diversify its economy because of the significant decline in revenue from the oil and gas sector. He said there would be new taxes on fuel, the motor vehicle tax, and customs duties on private passenger vehicles with smaller engine capacities will go up by 25%, while taxes imposed last year on vehicles with larger engines will remain. Imbert also said that there would be a 30% customs duty and an environmental tax on all tire imported into the country to cover the proper disposal of used tires, which is currently a major headache. The fees for motor vehicle inspection will also almost double. The finance minister said it was necessary for all stakeholders to play their part in the efforts to rejuvenate the economy, and companies operating in the oil and energy sectors will now have to pay their taxes. They now have to pay taxes that they were exempt from in the past. He also announced that corporation taxes for all companies was now being set at 30%, and the introduction of a new tax bracket of 35% for commercial banks. Imbert insisted that the country must move away from its dependence on oil and gas and cannot continue to live on borrowed money. He told Parliament that the budget is predicated on an oil price of $52 per barrel and a gas price of $2.75 per MMBTU.
It should be noted that our assumed oil price is below the International Monetary Fund forecast of $56 per barrel for 2018 and lower than the current oil price forecast made by the World Bank and the United States Energy Information Administration and the International Energy Agency. Based on these assumptions, we are projecting total revenue at $45.741 billion, of which oil revenue will be $6.412 billion. Non-oil revenue will be $32.91 billion. Capital revenue will be $6.419 billion. The total expenditure net of capital repayments and sinking fund contributions, $50.501 billion.
Meantime, the budget announced in Haiti that the Haitian country is not sitting well. Citizens of that French-speaking Caribbean nation, demonstrators took to the streets over the weekend for an opposition-backed protest against the budget, which many believe hurts the nation's poorest. Parliament approved the fiscal package that was presented by President Jovenel Moise last month, but he hinted at the possibility of reviewing some of the measures. During the weekend, March protesters threw stones and also built barricades of rocks and garbage to block traffic. Police were forced to use tear gas to contain the violence, which was denounced by political parties who organized the protests. A political row has erupted in St. Kitts over aid to countries battered by Hurricanes Irma and Maria, with the government and the main opposition trading words as to the sincerity behind the aid packages. The government had announced an initial monetary contribution of $2.5 million EC to support disaster relief efforts in Dominica, Antigua and Barbuda, the British Virgin Islands, Anguilla and St. Martin. It also announced the establishment of a short-term hurricane relief fund by adding a third investment option under its Citizenship by Investment program that it said would help meet the estimated $140 million EC bill, which it now faces to rehabilitate key public infrastructure which suffered damage during the two hurricanes. But opposition leader Dr. Denzel Douglas has described the government's action as unconscionable, unfriendly, selfish, uncaring and reprehensible, and aimed at undermining the efforts of Dominica and Antigua and Barbuda to recover from the hurricanes. The government hit back, saying Douglas's statements were unfortunate. It accused the opposition leader of shamelessly attempting to sully the country's image and sow division among Caribbean countries in the pursuit of narrow, self-serving, partisan political interests. Regional airline Liat has resumed limited operations to the hurricane-battered Dominica, Saint Martin and the British Virgin Islands. It said it will continue limited operations until October 7, carrying specific categories of passengers into the BVI. To enter Tortola in the BVI, a passenger must either be a resident of the British Overseas Territory, the holder of a valid work permit, or a property owner. Liat said only persons with proof of residency, citizenship or authorization to enter will be allowed to connect. The airline will also only carry relief material as cargo into those destinations, and no personal cargo is being accepted for now. The government of Jamaica has amended its pension laws, and as of July next year, public sector workers who are not yet making contributions will be required to do so. But the bill has prompted questions and concerns from the opposition and some unions. We will come back to that story from the TVJ a little later on in the news. But still in Jamaica, despite public backlash and fears about the human papillomavirus vaccine, the Health Ministry began administering the HPV vaccines in schools across the island on Monday. The vaccine is said to assist in preventing cervical cancer. And the government said the move is a proactive measure to protect girls against the disease. But the opposition Shadow Minister of Health, Dr. Dayton Campbell, is calling for the urgent implementation of a public education program ahead of the administering of the HPV vaccine. According to Campbell, the vaccine has been linked to fainting spells and other side effects and may not be best administered in the school environment without appropriate measures in place for monitoring. But the Health Ministry is defending its plan to give HPV vaccine to grade 7 girls. Dr. Melody Ennis is the Director of Family Health Services in the Ministry of Health.
The decision was taken by the government because of the cancer burden. That is cervical cancer, the burden on the society. We have here in Jamaica over 300 cases with 185 deaths annually. In our population, the virus that causes cervical cancer is in excess of 50%. All parents who have children who entered grade 7 of this year were given a letter from the Ministry of Health in July when they collected their orientation package. We continue our public awareness, and we started with the Ministry of Education. We have done some of the NGOs, the private sector. It's an inclusive process. Up to now, no. The Global Advisory Committee on Vaccine Safety have been monitoring the use and the occurrence of adverse effects.
And we return to that story we were telling you about earlier in Jamaica, where the government has amended its pension laws. And as of July 2018, the public sector workers who are not yet making contributions to the pension fund will be required to do so. We get more in this report from TVJ.
The moment when the pensions bill was passed in the Senate. After years of talking about pension reform in the public sector, it will now become a reality.
Come April 1, 2018, those workers who are in the service will start to pay, if they were never paying before, 2.5%. And come 2019, they will pay 5%. Public sector workers will continue to pay 4%, and in 2019, they will move to 5%, based on the discussion so far.
Under the legislation, the finance minister has some flexibility in determining the initial rate of contributions as long as it doesn't go above 5%. So the union will have a request.
What we're asking for is for alignment, that everybody starts at 2.5% rather than you have some starting at 4% because that's where they are now.
Overall, though, the Jamaica Civil Service Association believes, for the most part, that public sector unions and the government are satisfied with the outcome. Discussions continue to iron out challenges.
The issue of vesting and portability and the issue of the resumption to full pension or indexation are three of the big items that we were not able to get in this round of the pension reform.
Now, even though the pensions bill has been passed, for now, contributions will go into the consolidated fund. A separate pension fund will be set up on a date to be determined by the minister after the Auditor General certifies that the government is sticking to the fiscal rules. But there's another requirement. The bill states that the pension fund shall not be established until the finance minister is satisfied that Jamaica's debt to GDP ratio is at 60%. That may not be until 2025-2026, so the opposition had concerns.
If we can set up the pension fund and start to fund it with contributions, and the Auditor General can certify that doing so will not breach the fiscal rules and will not result in non-compliance with Section 48C, why is it that we're in addition saying that we can't start the fund until our debt to GDP ratio has reached 60%?
It may be belts and braces, admittedly, but it is the position that has been agreed as a way forward. I am aware that in discussions, the fact is that the government is hoping that we will actually be in a position to be able to set up the fund even earlier than that.
There were also questions relating to district constables. In defining public service, the bill made specific reference to both constables and district constables. But later in paragraph 13, only constables were mentioned. And since there are commitments for district constables to become pensionable, the opposition wanted consistency.
Caribbean Newsline Americans advised against travel to Cuba. We'll tell you why when we come back.
To the gem of the Caribbean, Antigua and Barbuda.
A warm welcome awaits you at our state-of-the-art VC Bird International Airport.
I must say that Antigua is in wonderful shape. 5 minutes off the boat and we're already in paradise.
Antigua was not that damaged by the storm as much as Barbuda was. The hotels are still open, the beaches are still clean, and the people are still friendly.
With Antigua, it's the people that really await you.
Hurricane Irma may have hit a little bit, but you can't even tell that it was ever here. The beach is wonderful. I'm having a great time.
Everything is just as we remember. No storm damage.
We're here and we're open.
And we're better than ever.
I do a lot of destination weddings, and I see weddings that could happen here, and they would be in love with it.
I can't say enough about how in love with Antigua I am.
It is one nation, two islands, and I'm loving it.
Do you want a real Barbadian experience with peace and tranquility? A home away from home feeling? Come and stay at Best E Villas. We offer 2 amazing locations to choose from, Prospect St. James or Christchurch. Plan a staycation for your anniversary, birthdays, summer or winter breaks, or any special event. Best E Villas is located in close proximity to our lovely beaches. Call us now at 246-425-9751 or visit us at bestevillas.com and make your booking for the best in villas.
Come, sail with us through our ocean blues, where there's a blessed land that's waiting for you. Shh. Look, listen, feel. Realize your dream escape that's magically surreal. The best kept secret, a place you'll never forget, where adventure beckons with every gentle footstep. From lush mountain green to warm volcanic sand, submerged in splendor, our 32 enchanting islands. A kaleidoscope of experiences. No need to look anymore. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Caribbean you're looking for.
The U.S. Department of State has warned Americans not to travel to Cuba because of a series of sonic attacks on diplomats in recent months. It also ordered the departure of non-essential U.S. embassy employees and their families. At least 21 workers at the embassy in Havana were targeted in specific attacks during the summer. They reported a range of symptoms including hearing loss, dizziness, headaches, fatigue, cognitive issues, and difficulty sleeping. The State Department said that because neither the U.S. nor Cuban government could identify the source of the attacks, it believes American citizens may also be at risk. In addition to the travel advisory and withdrawing staff, the State Department said routine visa operations were also suspended indefinitely, and short-term travel by U.S. government officials to Cuba was also limited to those involved with the ongoing investigation or who have to travel in relation to U.S. national security or crucial embassy operations. Despite the steps taken, the State Department insisted that the U.S. still maintains diplomatic relations with Cuba. A 4.1 magnitude earthquake rattled several Caribbean islands on Monday morning, but there were no reports of injury or damage. According to the Seismic Research Center of the University of the West Indies in Trinidad and Tobago, the quake occurred at 8:08 a.m. That's about 11 kilometers northwest of Kingston in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and was felt in that country as well as St. Lucia and Grenada. Caribbean countries have in recent months been shaken by several tremors, with experts warning the region to be prepared for a major quake. Caribbean students are being encouraged to participate in an essay competition that provides an opportunity for them to express their views on how to improve the region's economic position. The competition, which is themed Inclusive and Resilient Growth in the Caribbean, is organized by the International Monetary Fund, the IMF. Director of the IMF's Western Hemisphere Department, Alejandro Werner, says they hope to engage the youth on an issue where public policies will have a long-lasting impact on the prospects for the people in the Caribbean region. The competition is open to students aged 18 to 25 and enrolled in a Caribbean university or college. Entries will be judged by a panel of IMF staff, faculty of the University of the West Indies and the Caribbean Policy Research Institute. The winner will be invited as a special guest to the 2017 High-Level Caribbean Forum to be held in Jamaica in November. And that forum will bring together finance ministers, policymakers and representatives of international financing organizations to discuss growth challenges for the Caribbean. Now to news from our partners over at France Caraïbes Broadcast. Representation is being made in Martinique to seek reparations for slavery from France. And we get more in this special report.
Last August 23rd, a handful of demonstrators, militants of the MIR International Repairers Movement, were demonstrating on the Place de la Savane in Fort-de-France against the symbols of slavery.
There are symbols here on this Place de la Savane, where we can see the statues of Denambuc, then that of Josephine, headless, which every day interrogates passers-by.
Josephine de Beauharnais, accused by these militants of having encouraged the restoration of slavery, Belin des Nambuc, the conqueror who seized Martinique, two symbols of which these militants no longer want. A few days ago, the MIR appeal process against the French state took place. The association seeks reparation for the crime of slavery, rejected at first instance. The deliberation of this new day of hearing will be made 19th December next.
Une fois de plus, du côté de l'État, l'avocat.
Once again, on the side of the state of France, the lawyer has reacted to what we said, and it's quite normal to say that, yes, the French state recognizes that there is a crime against humanity. The state recognizes that a memorial repair has begun, a moral reparation. The state says it's possible to make a cultural repair, a land repair, but it's not possible to have financial reparation according to their lawyer and legal texts.
And we thank our partners over at France Caraïbes Broadcast. We encourage you to join us every Monday for news from the French West Indies. And ahead in Newsline Sport, West Indies set for their short series against Zimbabwe. Stay with us. Sport is next.
In a place where legends start, the beach is just the beginning. So live a little for the exhilaration and the color of every moment, where time is and life is a spirited event. Immerse yourself in the culture, the music, the people, the island. Love Antigua and Barbuda. Embrace an experience that leaves you breathless, from cricket to sailing week to carnival and more. Antigua and Barbuda, the beach is just the beginning.
Come, sail with us through our ocean blues, where there's a blessed land that's waiting for you. Shh, look, listen, feel, realize your dream escape that's magically surreal. The best kept secret, a place you'll never forget, where adventure beckons with every gentle footstep. From lush mountain green to warm volcanic sand, submerged in splendor, our 32 enchanting islands. A kaleidoscope of experiences. No need to look anymore. St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Caribbean you're looking for.
We begin with cricket. West Indies are set to arrive in Harare next Wednesday for a short test series against Zimbabwe. They are expected to play a three-day warm-up match before taking on the hosts in the two tests at the venue in Bulawayo, which last hosted a match in the longest format when New Zealand toured last year, August. The first test will run from October 21st to 25th, while the second one is set for October 29th to November 2nd. West Indies will be looking to turn the page on an overall disappointing tour of England, where they lost the three-match series 2-1. They will fancy their chances against the Zimbabwe side that has played just 13 tests in the last 4 years, winning just 2 and losing their last 9. The Windies have never lost a test to Zimbabwe and has won 6 of their 8 career meetings. Meanwhile, the pair of Evan Lewis and Alzari Joseph made huge strides in the latest International Cricket Council one-day international rankings following career best performances in the just concluded 5-match series against England. Left-hander Lewis leapt to 31 places in the batting rankings to break into the top 100 in the world at 78th, while Joseph jumped 28 spots to 108th. There was also movement for captain Jason Holder, who rose 11 places in the batting rankings to 73rd, following his career best 77 in the 4th ODI. Meanwhile, off-spinner Sunil Narayan, who has not played a one-day game in a year, slipped 2 places to 10th, but remained the highest-ranked West Indies bowler. Holder is the next best at 26th, but is the only other Windies bowler in the top 50 of the rankings, headed by South African leg spinner Imran Tahir. Over to football. Thursday's friendly international between Jamaica and Saudi Arabia will go ahead as planned. There had been doubts surrounding the fixture in Riyadh after the failure by the Saudi Arabian Football Federation to submit an application to FIFA on time for the match to be played. But the Jamaica Football Federation's Vice President Bruce Gaynor says the administrative issues have now been dealt with. The Reggae Boys have beaten Saudi Arabia once in 3 previous meetings, losing 1 and drawing 1. But the two teams have not met in 18 years. Jamaica is expected to have a stern test, with the Saudis already having qualified for the 2018 World Cup in Russia after finishing second to Japan in Group B on the Asian section of qualifiers. Gaynor said playing in the Middle East would be important for the Reggae Boys, as it would provide valuable experience in foreign conditions. To volleyball now, organizers of the Nausicaa Beach Tournament have scrapped the event, which was carded for next month after the damage done in the Caribbean last month by Hurricanes Irma and Maria resulted in a mass withdrawal of regional teams from the competition. Jamaica Volleyball Association President Rudolph Speed confirmed that the November 3rd to 5th tournament that was to play in Ocho Rios would not go ahead as planned, with participating countries indicating their non-attendance after being affected by the massive storms. Speed said the option of rescheduling until later in the year would have resulted in a massive increase in costs. Earlier this year, Jamaica successfully hosted a similar Nausicaa tournament, also in Ocho Rios, and Speed said the association was disappointed it could not build on that accomplishment. Over to motorsport now. Championship leader Lewis Hamilton lacked the pace to keep up with Max as the exciting young Dutchman captured the final Malaysian Grand Prix in style on Sunday. Despite the advantage of pole, Hamilton found himself under pressure from earlier after Max, who started from third, overtook Bottas of Mercedes to grab second. The Red Bull driver, who turned 20 on Saturday, then stalked Hamilton before producing a smooth overtake on lap 4 and pulling away confidently. In the end, he won by 12 seconds, with Hamilton finishing second. The other Red Bull driver, Daniel, was third, and Ferrari's Sebastian Vettel was fourth after working his way up from the back of the grid. With the second place finish, Hamilton moved to 281 points, extending his lead to 34 points over Vettel, with 5 races remaining in the Formula One season. Ace Barbadian jockey Patrick Husbands took aim at 100 wins for the 19th time at Woodbine when he posted a double on Sunday's 10-race card at the celebrated Canadian racetrack. The veteran rider captured race 9 with 2-1 chance first premio before returning in race 10 to take victory with favourite Saliria and make some of the headlines on the program. Going over a mile and 16th, Husbands carried 3-year-old Chestnut Colt first premio to a 1-length win over the 3-year-olds and upwards. Woodbine track announcer Robert Geller has the call.
Glencairn is running on from the back. Conquest Eliminator is there and trying to come as Aurora Way, but it is first premio out by 2.5. Aurora Way putting in the strides now. First premio in front. Aurora Way makes a serious late charge, but they're not catching first premio. First premio by a length, Aurora Way.
With the success, Husbands moved to 91 wins for the season, continuing in 4th spot in the standings behind 2-time defending champion Eurico Rosa da Silva, who leads with 136. And that's the sport. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Grow your business or promote your event through the services offered by the Caribbean Media Corporation and CaribVision. Our distribution provides a platform on cable, terrestrial television, and websites. We cover carnivals and events from across the region. We can bring your event live and alive to the world. For music makers, program producers, businesses, we can expand your reach to in excess of 2 million households daily. Our other services include news updates to enhance your media products, studio space for program and development. We can facilitate the launch of new products and services and training. Contact us and we will help you unleash your creative ability, develop products and services, and provide the medium to watch them grow. Contact Loretta Skeet at cmccaribbean.com or call her 1-246-467-1044 or 1-246-253-3889. Call and book your carnival or event today. Again, the major developments of this day: new taxes announced in Trinidad and Tobago budget, with the Twin Island Republic moving to diversify its economy because of a significant decline in revenue from the oil and gas sector. And in sport, West Indies are set to arrive in Harare next Wednesday for a short test series against Zimbabwe. That's Caribbean Newsline. For news and sport around the clock, log on to CarnaNews.com. We'll be back here again tomorrow. But from all of us at CMC News, thank you for watching. Do have yourselves a good night.